The crunch of gravel under my tires was the first thing that jolted me awake that morning, not the birds, not the gentle lapping of lake water, but the heavy rumble of a pickup truck barreling down my private drive like it had every right in the world. It was barely 6. The mist was still thick over the lake, clinging to the old pines that guarded my little corner of Montana. I was halfway through my first cup of coffee when I spotted them through the kitchen window, 3 men in neon vests climbing out of the truck. Not county workers, not carpenters I'd ever trust. The biggest one had a crowbar dangling from his hand, and I remember setting my mug down, the ceramic suddenly ice cold in my palm. I stepped outside, bare feet against the damp porch, and managed a voice that was calmer than my insides. "Can I help you?" I said, steady too steady. The big guy, shaved head and a snake tattoo curling up his neck, didn't even look at me. Just nodded toward the boathouse my dad built 40 years ago. "We're with Summit Ridge Estates Association." He grunted, marching forward. "Got an unpermitted structure. Gotta come down. Unpermitted. On my land." I blocked his path, feeling the tension rise between pine and wet earth. "This is private property. You're trespassing." The big guy grinned, lazy and mean. "Mrs. Vance said you'd be difficult. She also said just get it done." Elena Vance, the name hit me like a punch. Another one, younger, earbuds swinging from his collar, reached for the boathouse latch. That's when I knew talking was done. I turned my back, walked slow and deliberate to the house. They probably thought I was scared, giving up. They were wrong. My fingers dialed 911 before my anger even settled. If Elena Vance wanted a war, she'd get one, and I'd spent a decade building digital firewalls. Now I'd build one right through her life. But war doesn't start with a crowbar. It starts with a smile. Just a month before, I'd been Liam Concada ghost in Chicago, living on caffeine and paranoia, battling invisible threats behind a screen. When Dad died, he left me the only thing you can't buy: escape. This cabin was a life, raft, no cell signal, just honest quiet. The peace lasted 2 weeks. Then she showed up. Her Lexus looked alien, parked on my gravel. She was dressed for a charity ball, not the Woods blonde bob, pearls, country club smile. "You must be the new owner," she said, that smile not touching her eyes, just scanning, calculating. "There's a misunderstanding about property lines." I told her I had the deed, the original survey, the whole deal. She didn't flinch. The association has always considered the shoreline community access. I'd spent years dissecting threats, but she was another kind anti-Relia virus disguised as a community feature, rewriting rules when you weren't looking. She left her business card, President, Summit Ridge Estates. It felt heavier than it should. 2 days later, flags appeared, blue and white plastic, slicing my land from woods to water. I wanted to rip them out, but old habits die hard. I found a survey company's name on one, so that night, I poked through their sloppy, insecure website until I hit gold. Emails from Vance, instructing them not to survey the boundary, but to mark the historical footpath. Plant them deep. Establish a pattern of use. This wasn't a mistake, it was a setup. Then came the letter. Remove unpermitted structures from community shoreline within 14 days. Not a law, just paper dripping with power. I felt something shift. I wasn't just here to hide anymore. That night, I built my own fortress, every document encrypted, everything backed up in triplicate, a dead man switch set to send it all to my lawyer if I missed a check-in. If Vance wanted darkness, I was born in it. Which brings us back to that morning, watching 3 thugs try to tear down my dad's memory. As I called 911, I triggered a digital honeypot, renaming my network Summit Ridge Free Wi-Fi. The kid with earbuds bit the bait. Now I had a digital fingerprint proving they trespassed. Sheriff's deputies arrived fast. The tattooed guy Rico, I'd later learn, blustered about being sent by the HOA. I didn't just hand over a deed, I handed them a binder. Deed surveys, tax maps. The lead deputy, smart eyes flipped through, whistled. "Damn, son, you're thorough." Old habit. The deputies told Rico's crew to get lost. They left, but my sense of safety was shattered. Later, reviewing footage, I caught my neighbor Art Jenkins showing Vance around my property, pointing at my cameras, my blind spots. The betrayal stung worse than anything. Next morning, coffee in hand, I confronted him. He didn't deny it. Said she convinced him I was some outsider trying to fence off the lake. He just stared at his bird feeder, shame written all over him. I walked away, resolve hardening. Vance's next attacks were petty but relentless. Health department notices, IRS letters, animal control complaints, a dead trout nailed to my dock. It was 1,000 paper cuts meant to bleed me dry. I'd had enough. I went on offense, digging into Summit Ridge, HOA's finances found payments to shell companies tied to Vance, HOA funds spent on personal legal bills. I sent the evidence anonymous Slido, every homeowner. That didn't stop her. One weekend in Missoula, I came home to find a backhoe had torn a trench straight across my lawn to the lake. They'd vandalized everything. I didn't call the cops, I called my lawyer, Chloe Sterling. We're not just suing, I told her. We're ending this. Months past depositions, legal games, every dirty trick in the book. Chloe never wavered. When the day came, the courthouse was no grand hall, just a tired building full of stale coffee. Vance sat regal and icy, her attorney smug until Chloe revealed my digital evidence. Perfectly preserved, every email and video. The cherry on top? Secret plans to devalue my land for a developer's luxury condo project. Marcus Thorne, the developer, took the stand, cut a deal, exposed everything. Even Art Jenkins confessed how Vance promised him a big payout. Vance finally snapped in court, shrieking about outsiders and forgeries. The judge thundered her down. You, madam, are guilty on all counts. 60 days jail, barred from HOA, her license revoked, every cent of damages and legal fees ordered paid. Summit Ridge, HOA folded, bankrupt and disgraced. I didn't cheer. I breathed, finally. My land was healed. I hired the best crew to repair the lawn, and when they finished, I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, and just listened to the silence. One morning, Art brought back my torque wrench, apology written all over him. I nodded. Some things you can't fix, but you can let them rest. The craziest part? A kid filmed Vance's courtroom meltdown. It went viral. Suddenly, I was flooded with messages from people fighting their own HOA wars. I started a blog, then a nonprofit, the Sentinel Project. Helping others fight back became my way of keeping the peace I'd earned. Months later, at a fireside gathering with neighbors, I finally saw the last ghost. Vance herself no pearls, just a worn hoodie, small or raw. She apologized, told me about the son she'd lost, how she thought control would keep others safe. She said she was sorry. I told her she still had time to fix what's left. It wasn't forgiveness, just closure. We sat, staring into the embers. Art raised his cup. To stubborn men, he said. I raised mine. And to private docs. We laughed quietly together. Now, let me ask you, have you ever fought for your peace and found something bigger waiting on the other side? Would you have stood your ground or walked away? Tell me your thoughts below. And if you've ever tangled with an HOA or felt bullied by power, don't keep silent, share your story. This isn't just my fight. It's everyone's.